Well, this is my week 2 initial discussion. This week we were looking at Jstor as a research database, and I've become very familiar with Jstor. I've used it since my undergraduate studies at William Patterson University, and I used much of my research for my master's thesis at Southern New Hampshire University with scholarly articles, books, and documents from this research collection. This week, I decided to reconduct my research, hoping to find new information that has been added to JSTOR since my completion of my master's in 2021. The first scholarly article that I revisited was something that I didn't put into my thesis, but it might be something that I want to expand upon in my dissertation. This is the Petticoat Electors, a women's suffrage in New Jersey. It focuses on the time period of 1776 to 1807 by Judith Apter Klinghoffer and Lois Elkis. Though the information focuses mainly on a period that would be before the time period of women's suffrage that I would be focusing on, it does lay a foundation for the future of the women's suffrage movement in the state. Originally, women were given the right to vote along with freed blacks. Klinghoffer and Elkis focus on the involvement of women during this time and their ultimate disenfranchisement. But they do also discuss that women were politically involved during this time period, creating a foundation for an understanding of the importance of women's voices in the state of New Jersey. One must understand these foundational attitudes and ultimately the people who were against them and supported disenfranchisement in the state of New Jersey. Before looking at how incredible New Jersey was in contributing to second wave feminism that took place in the 19th and 20th centuries. The second document that I looked at focused this week was by Sally Hunter Graham, and it's called Woodrow Wilson, Alice Paul, and the Women's Suffrage Movement. Alice Paul and Woodrow Wilson are both incredible major players in the women's suffrage movement as a whole, but Alice Paul was actually born in New Jersey, so she's a New Jersey native. She was born in Moorestown in 1885. Woodrow Wilson was also very important in New Jersey because he was the president of Princeton University, and he was also the governor of New Jersey prior to his presidency. This scholarly article emphasizes Alice Paul's strategic use of political pressure during the suffrage movement by pointing out the contradictions between President Woodrow Wilson's advocacy for democracy abroad in Europe during World War I and his denial of democratic rights for women at home. In Graham's work, she provides a perspective on the political dynamics of the suffrage movement and how Paul's tactics ultimately contributed to Wilson's shift in the stance of women's suffrage. Now, not only can you use JSTOR for written articles, books, and documents, but you can also research primary sources. So below here, I have a black and white button commemorating Alice Paul on the left. This is from the Special Collectors Archives at Trexler Library in Malvern College. And the photograph on the right is a photograph of Woodrow Wilson from the United Methodist Archive Center at Drew University Library. So I find JSTOR invaluable for academic research for secondary and primary sources.